Hello, friends. Alexis here, Mrs. Book Dragon, and it's been a minute. I just realized while I looked back, January 2nd was like my last official video. I've done a couple other videos since then, like I did a how to use Edelweiss and NetGalley, and also a June releases with some authors, but for the most part, I've been kind of gone, so I'm sorry. I had every intention. So back up. I'm a teacher. So March-ish hit and things were crazy and I was drowning. So I thought summertime I'll pick all this back up. And then summer came and went. And now I'm headed back to school next week and I still haven't posted anything. So I hope that I get on here regularly, more often at least. And so if you're watching this, I'm so glad you're here. And I'm sorry I've been gone. If you've even noticed, I don't know. So anyway, I wanted to first show off my lap buddy. This is Twix. And if he gets in the right light, he has quite the cute little eyebrows where the light hits. Oh, he's giving kisses. So I left the house today to get my hair cut. And anytime I leave, I come home and he is just stuck to me. So school will be a hard time on it, buddy. You are gonna be so sad. But at least you won't be completely alone. There will be some people here for a little while. Also new hair. I'm gonna get new glasses soon. And something fun that I've been doing, trying to do lots of crafty things. I wanted to make bracelets for books I've read, or at least favorite books, because friendship bracelets are amazing and so are books, so combine them. And so my first one is Archer Heart Fox. So it's kind of hard to see, but this is from, do you know? Stephanie Garber's, what's the first book called? Once Upon a Broken Heart, I think. Anyway, you would think I knew. I love that series, and so I thought a fun little pink and black bracelet to match the cover. So there's that. Okay, so the first things that I want to do before I dive into what I read this month is I wanted to show some book mail that I've gotten and also shout out some authors with some awesome books coming out in August. So first off, I have these two books by M.R. Fournette. The first one that came out is this one, Brick, Dust, and Bones. These were sent by the publisher, and they came with, so this is like about the book, or the next book, some artwork, a bookmark, and a sticker. So I always love little things with book mail. And I forgot, it came with this little keychain, which, I mean, is that not the coolest thing? I usually give these away to my students, but this one I might keep because, I don't know, I may put this somewhere else because I could see that breaking if I actually used it as a keychain, or I'll hang it up somewhere. I don't know. So there's Brick, Dust, and Bones, and then the newest that came out this year was Darkness and Demon Song. And so I'll read just like briefly. Marius Gray hunts monsters. He's not supposed to. He's only 12, and his job as a cemetery boy is to look after the ghosts in his family's graveyard. He should be tending these ghosts and, of course, going to school to learn how to live between worlds without getting into trouble. But Marius has an expensive goal. He wants to bring his mother back from the dead, and that takes a lot of mystic coins, which means a lot of monster hunting. And his mother's window to return is closing. Blah, blah, blah. And then, can Marius navigate New Orleans' gritty monster bounty hunting market, or will he have to say goodbye to his mother forever? So, like, heart, but also a little dark, and I like that. And then this one is, spoiler, I don't know if I should read that. That might be looks like a series. Okay, I'm not going to read the gist of this one, but cover's cool, because that one sounds like It is I didn't realize it was a series, so I spoiled myself. That's okay. You kind of probably know where it's going. Anyway, also sent by a publisher are these 3 books. The first 2 are part of a series, Skywriters, by Polly Holyoke. And the first one is just Skywriters. The second one is Skywriters and the Sky King. Awesome covers. These are all middle grade, by the way. This says an epic fantasy adventure for fans of Wings of Fire and Skandar and the Unicorn Thief. When fearsome monsters emerge to attack the Empire, it's up to Cassandra and her beloved winged horse Nara to prove to the Imperial Army that she has what it takes to lead them to victory and survival. This one came out last year, and then this one's coming out. Actually, it may have come out already. So there we go. And then, I don't know how many books are in the series. And then this one is a graphic novel. It's short, a short graphic novel called Amber Brown is Not a Crayon. And it is by Victoria Ying. It's an adaptation of Paula Danziger, who is the original author of this book. Victoria is the one who adapted it into a graphic novel. So this book is probably a lower middle grade. 3rd graders, Amber Brown and Justin Daniels have been best friends since the day they first met in preschool. How great of a team are they? Amber helps Justin with spelling, and Justin helps Amber with fractions. They have a ton of inside jokes and hang out together after school every day, and that's just how it's always been. But when Justin finds out his family is moving away, everything starts to feel different. Amber gets sad whenever she thinks about Justin leaving, and Justin seems overwhelmed by his huge change. Can the 2 besties figure out a way to say goodbye that will keep their friendship strong, no matter how apart they are? And it says, humor and heart. So cute. Thank you for sending me these books. Every day that I get book mail, I'm just so thankful that, like, how did I get where I'm getting, early copies and whatnot. Also, I've reorganized my bookshelves. So if you've seen previous videos, they probably look like a hot mess. Now, I think they're looking pretty good. And I found, as I was digging through, several books that I forgot I had and want to read. So, it's like the TBR grew, but didn't really. Okay, let's take a look at some books that are coming out in August. So 2 of these came out today, August 6th, that I'm recording this. And back up. Today's August 7th. I'm not recording this on August 6th. You wouldn't even care. It doesn't matter. Anyway, 2 of these books came out recently. The Girl with No Reflection. This is the US cover on the left, and on the right is the UK cover. And then a picture of Kishi Chow. And I hope I'm saying that right, Kishi. And she described this book as an Asian FMC, romantic, creepy, adventurous, mythology-based. And then I have from Heather Murphy Capps, The Rule of 3. And this is a contemporary historical fiction, mental health rep, magical realism, social justice, family, and generational trauma. So I'm betting contemporary historical fiction, there's dual timelines, which sounds really cool. Coming out in the middle of August, August 13th, is a sequel to a series, The Curious League of Detectives and Thieves by Tom Phillips. This is The Peruvian Express, and he described it as contemporary mystery thriller comedy with found family, anti-toxic masculinity, and not being bound to the choices of your parents. And then Pebble Without a Cause, which is written by Stephanie Campisi and illustrated by Girard Jiang. And it's a journey of self-discovery and self-worth. And this is a picture book. Okay, so I wanted to try something new for July, and that was to tier rank the books I read. And then I hope, if I do this every month from now and then work backwards a little bit, then by the end of the year, maybe I'll have all of them tier ranked. So I made 5 categories, and here they are. So top tier is like mind blowing, a book that it blew me away. I wasn't expecting it, or it's an instant favorite, an instant buy. It's memorable. The one below that is like all the hearts. So this book gives me all the feels. I was so happy after reading it and I loved it. The third one down is like, I liked the book. It was great. It also made me feel good. The one below that is kind of like, it's okay. And then the bottom was, mm-mm. So I'm, to be honest, I struggle with even star ratings because I I feel like there's a book is for everyone. I get easily entertained. And so to give a low rating is really hard for me. But we'll see what happens. Also, I'm doing this at the beginning of the next month. I'm doing this in August. So it's been a while since I've read some of these books. And so we'll see if that affects the tier ranking because I feel like if I had done it right after I read the book, then they would all be really high because I tend to, yeah, right off the bat, like love the book, had a blast, and then give it 5 stars. And then upon reflecting, I tend to lower it. So, all right, this is the order I read the books as well. So the first book up is that I finished was The Teacher. This was by Frida McFadden, and I think the first book by this author. Obviously was intrigued because I'm a teacher, and then upon reading was not intrigued because lots of ick going on. So I'm going to it was enjoyable, but I didn't okay, I struggle because it wasn't necessarily meh. It was enjoyable. It was some good twists, so we'll put it there. But it definitely didn't make me feel good. So the smiley face next to it is not, you know, not good. Okay, the next one I read was 49 Miles Alone. This was sent to me by Sourcebooks Fire. And going into it, I thought it was going to be more horror, but it actually wasn't. It was more thriller. And I enjoyed it. It was fast chapters, dual point of view. Um, there was actually another point of view that you didn't know who it was, if it was part of the duel or not. So I really found this one really good. It also touched on some topics that check the trigger warnings. But it did bring up some things that I think were very real and how other people deal with someone else's trauma and how they don't know how to help. And so I thought that was a really good portrayal of that aspect. I have some questions for you. I'm blanking on what this book is about. Um, okay. So, oh my gosh. Pause the video. I hate that I don't even, that's not a good sign that I don't remember it. So I know that it's, okay, let's just read this. I know that I liked the topics that it covered. Um, okay, film professor and podcaster is content to forget her past, murder of her former roommate, Thalia's death. Okay, yeah, okay. Yeah, it's kind of like a crime thriller book. I'm going to keep it right here because, again, it touched on a lot of important topics, especially about women and women of color and violence, um, and and also incarceration, uh, and racism involved in that. So I liked the topics it covered. It just wasn't, obviously, it didn't stick out in my head very well. Raising mentally strong kids. This was a nonfiction that I read, and I mean, it's hard to give nonfiction a rating at all. And this book started out strong. Um, but then there were just a lot of things that I felt like I don't know, it was helpful. It was helpful. It was just not always it was repetitive maybe is what I'm going with. Okay, the next one, and I knew how to say this character's name and then because I listened to the audiobook and then I forgot. It's not Shane, Shane Linde, by um Darcy Little Badger, and it's illustrated by Ravina Kai. This book is the prequel to Alatsoe, which I loved. I love that book, and it's uh, Native American, Indigenous perspective. It's about a missing. Um, well, it starts off with her and her mom track people who are missing, and it starts with a child being had wandered off from a birthday party, and so they were tracking her and then fairy rings come in, and the mom goes to track some people who had been disappearing, like in this area, and the mom then disappears. So Shanae, um, goes after to find her mom, and it's like fairy rings are involved, and that was really cool. So I'm gonna give this ranking the 4 because I guess it's like a star rating. Um, It was really good. It had a lot sh of fantastical elements that also feel real. It described the fairy rings really well. It described, the animals that help her with, she can raise animals that have died up, and they help her out, and so that's a really cool thing, and it's in Alatsoe too. And I think this is the grandma. I think. And then Alatsoe is the granddaughter of this. That's really cool. Then I read Spark of the Everflame, which I had seen pop up a lot about like if you like Fourth Wing. And I agree, but it's not necessary. I don't know if I like saying it's like Fourth Wing. It gave me honestly a lot of Hunger Games Divergent vibe. No, Hunger Games vibes. There's like the top capital people, and then there's the lonely ones and that whole dynamic, and then the love interests. And yeah, I really like, and there's a lot of gray, what's right, what's wrong kind of things. And the ending was really good. So I highly recommend Spark of the Everflame. I'm not necessarily going to say because of Fourth Wing because it didn't feel the same. I definitely loved the world building in that, and I loved the main character. Another one I loved was What the River Knows. This one has a sequel coming out soon, and I can't wait. So this one immediately and attracted me, I guess, because there were a lot of mummy references, and I get some of them. It's not like a mummy retelling, but growing up, millennial, watching the mummy, that definitely piqued my interest, and it was really good. It was very fast and very lots of plot twists, very twisty, and I loved it. Another one that is always just a fun read is Finley Donovan. This is the second one, Knocks 'Em Dead, and I just, yes, ate that up. I wouldn't say it's like one that I just gush over and love, but if you need a good time and need to laugh and feel good, yeah, and the audiobook is fantastic. Map of Emily Wilde's Map of the Other Lands. I think I like this one better than the first one, and I think it's because it was a lot darker. Even though the first one did get very dark, this one was dark and stakes were high from the very beginning. Whereas the first one didn't really. It was more of like a journey, and then all of a sudden things were happening. This one was intense from the start, and I loved it. And I loved again the fairy rings. Like I was reading two books that had mentions of those, and I really liked that aspect of travel like that, and then the different fairies and the creature. Well, they're not even creatures; they are fairies too. It just very different in from like guitar, fae kind of things. So you have these two different in your head, and I really liked it. Uh, This one is the first of a series, Guardians of Dawn, and this was Zara. Next is Amy, and I'm really excited to read the next one. This one took me forever to read, and I don't know why. It was on my Kindle. I think I just kept getting distracted with others. But once I sat down and read this book, it was so good. The character development was just phenomenal. It was perfect. And the magic system, the the Guardians, the whole storyline was a really cool idea. And so that one is gonna go here. Okay, Leather and Lark. Whoops. Why am I embarrassed to put this on here? I don't know, because I think we all know what these books are. Um, but I read Butcher and Blackbird, loved it. Leather and Lark took me, I loved it too, but wasn't the same. So this one was, I'm gonna do here because even though by the end I did enjoy it and I'm glad I read it, it really wasn't what I had hoped for. And I did like the characters and I liked the storyline, but it just didn't, there were so many things that just didn't hit. And it took, the plot took too long and wasn't a fan. Okay, this book I'm going to struggle with because by the book is a meant to be novel, which the first one is a Cinderella retelling by Julie Murphy, who's amazing. If you haven't read Dumplin', please read it. Um, Jasmine Gil, Guillory. I sorry if I butchered that. Anyway, Jasmine. I haven't read any of her books before. I think one of them is like The Wedding Date or something. I recognize the cover, but this one is Beauty and the Beast, and so super excited to read it. And oh my gosh, just kicking my feet the whole time. So stinking adorable. Adorable. And it's about books. They're both it's about a, I guess she's like an assistant to an agent or an editor. And she's trying to get this famous man to write a memoir and he keeps dragging his feet. And so like she sends him weird emails just to see if he's even reading them, which she doesn't think he is because she puts random stuff in there. Anyway, she ends up going to his house and pretty much demanding that, like, why aren't you writing? And he kind of is like, well, she says something like, I can give good pep talks. And he's like, if you're so good, then move in and give me pep talks. So she moves in. Weird concept, but I love it. And also, he is grumpy, but amazing. So this one is definitely up here. It's not like a masterpiece, but I love these meant to be novels. They are done so well. And you don't have to read them. They're not like a series. It's just a thematic series, I guess. Okay, another nonfiction is Susan Cain's Quiet Power, which I had read Quiet by her, which is for being an introvert in an extrovert world in the lens of an adult. This one is written in the lens for middle school, for kids. I love it. This book needs to be read by everyone, especially if you work with kids or if you have kids or if you are a kid, because even if you're not introverted, this book shows you what goes on, why certain people act certain ways, and also if you're an extrovert, what you're doing and how that parallels with what someone else is doing. And just understand, it's all about understanding each other. And also, this book makes you not feel so alone. If you are someone who it freaks you out to participate in class, you can't raise your hand, it gives you strategies on how to raise your hand. At the same time, telling you it's okay to not be the one raising your hand. So it's like this really good balance of, okay, you want to be a leader and be part of clubs, you don't have to be. But it is good to do this or finding your people. I mean, and speaking up for, when you find your thing is fantastic. And also there are illustrations by my favorite like poet, graphic poet, Grant Snyder, and he did the illustrations in this, and he's amazing. You have to read his books as well. So anyway, Quiet Power, I am going to put way up here. because I just think it's a must read. I posted it everywhere for teachers to read because I feel like it gave a lot of tips for teachers and understanding those quiet students and understanding how maybe if you have to grade for participation, how you could do that or how you can help a kid get out of their shell a little bit, but also recognize that that's their safe place. And sometimes that's okay. Okay. I could go on and on about introverts because it's, it's something I try to I feel like the world is not recognizing that side of people and or those people. And again, we live in an extroverted world and it's not fair. Okay, I read The Unmaking of June Farrow next by Adrienne Young. This was a fantasy, loose fantasy. It's the modern day. It could be like this world, but she has this ability. She sees a door, a red door pop up. She also has random flashes of memories or sees things that aren't really there. And it's a really cool, that's all I'm going to say because not knowing what's going on is how you should go into this book. Um, and it was fast, it was heartbreaking, and it was really good, really beautiful. I really liked how the book made me feel. It's one of those fantasies that yeah, you like that world and that and I felt good reading it. So I'm gonna put it here in the love. Okay, Gorgeous Gruesome Faces is a YA speculative fiction horror. Um, this one has some body horror, I guess is what it's called. It deals with the body. Um, it's kind of like a K-pop group, but with some really sketchy stuff happening. And then there's unexplained things happening. And I really enjoyed it. I really liked the narrator in the audiobook. Done really well. It's not like I'm not remembering anything off the top of my head that I absolutely love. So I'm going to put it here. But I do know it was really gripping and really good. Same with The Poisons We Drink. This is another YA fantasy, but this one actually touches on a lot of issues. It may go up to the heart, the love, because this one talks about like gentrification, uh, racism, but in the sense like magic, or it's the magic, what do they call them? The witchers and the not the humans. And there's warring. I mean, they have it's almost like it's strong discrimination. They have like in the grocery stores a heat sensor and a counter, and witchers have a higher body temperature. So when they reach a certain point, anyway, it'll count how many people are in your store that are witchers, and if there's too many, then there can be problems. Really weird stuff. And then there's a really good mystery. Something happens with her mom, and all the while she makes potions. So that's really cool. That's where The Poisons We Drink comes from. So this whole potion aspect, and there's a little bit of horror, to me, horror in there. There's a lot of violence, but also just like things that happen to you when you do magic. It's pretty cool. And there's a familiar. You know what? The more I talk about, the more I really did like this book. It was really good, and I look forward to reading more by this author, Stephanie Baptiste. I really liked it. I think this is the only book that she has written. I think this was her debut. Could be wrong. All right. Life's Too Short, Abby Jimenez. I mean, these are not like literary masterpieces, but these are just the best books. Abby Jimenez is the best romance author because she ties in so many other things with her books. It's not all about the romance. I loved this one. I liked there's ALS mentioned in it. There's family issues and family centered and a lot of healing going on in this book. The ending I had issues with, so I'm going to keep it here. But overall, her books. I think I only have one left to read by her, and I'm sad. Okay, Basil and Dahlia, A Tragical Tale of Sinister Sweetness by Joy McCullough. I read this for my Read to Write Kidlit podcast, where we read good literature to shape our own writing. And I got to interview Joy, and I also interviewed Shane Klusky, who's the illustrator and the book cover designer. So if you're curious about like how do you design a book cover, you should listen to my podcast with Shane, because it was so interesting to talk to the artist behind the cover, because covers are huge. Covers are everything. I mean, even if you know you shouldn't judge a book by a cover, and you try not to, they're still covers for a reason. They're still supposed to be eye-catching. So anyway, it's really cool. This is a loose Hansel and Gretel retelling. They don't ever market it that way, and Joy talks about why. But once I found that out, I really enjoyed this book. So it's a middle grade. I'm gonna put it here because I wasn't like finding myself dying to read it, but when I was reading it, I did enjoy it. Another Abby Jimenez book. This is a novella, The Worst Wingman Ever, and I kind of want the rest of the story. It's kind of just like their meet cute. It's so cute. So it goes here. It would go higher if it was a whole story. This one was also sent to me by Source Books, Fire, A Family of Killers. I think this is the second book by Bryce Moore, and it is about the first serial killer family. It was wild. It definitely makes me want to learn more. It took place in the 1800s in Kansas. You've got the Wild West going on, and it's not settled very much. And so getting away with things is easier. And just this family is super creepy. And it's about this boy who his dad goes missing after trying to go after another person that had gone missing. And so him just trying to piece this all together while also proving he feels like he's worthless to his family. So the whole time he's just really down on himself, like, oh, my brothers would have had this solved in no time, and my dad would have done this, and why didn't I do that? And whenever bad things happen to him, he's like, of course this happened to me because I'm an idiot. And so that aspect, his character development, was really good. I didn't necessarily love the book. I felt like it was really drawn out, but I'm not going to give it down here. I'm really torn, actually. Because of the character development, I am going to keep it up here because it was really good. Okay, this book recently came out, Warriors graphic novel. It's the graphic novel of the first two books in the first series, and my daughter and I read it together, and I loved seeing the pictures of everything that we had read about. Like, we're on the second series actually, and these are fun books. They're middle grade, and I really enjoyed it. Okay, last book I read was Lisa Phipps and Then Boom. I want to get a hard copy, because it's in verse. So seeing the pages would make this book even better. I loved Starfish, and I loved this book. This one had a male main character, and he's in poverty, and a mom that is in and out of his life. Grandma takes care of him. Homelessness, and then I can't say that something happens to him, and it's kind of funny but awful, with a natural disaster. Anyway, and then by the ending, this book had me almost in tears the whole time. I was fighting tears the whole time. This book will break your heart, but by the end, it was good. It made you feel good. So I'm definitely actually going to give this my top rating, because I just devoured this book. I love books in verse. They always get me. If they're emotional, they get me, and books in verse and emotion go hand in hand. So that's it. All right, so there's my tier ranking of books I read in July, and I would love to hear what you read in July, or if you've read any of these. If you have a tier ranking video or a tier ranking system, I'd love to see it, because it is kind of fun to see how people rank books. I think it's better than star ratings because I always give everything 5. And I still struggle not doing that here. So, all right. Well, thank you for watching this with me today. Thank you for being here, even though I've been not here very often, and I hope I'm here more often, but we'll see. And yeah, so we'll see what August brings. Back to school, so I might not read as much. This is quite a bit, but I do hope to keep it going. I've got some audiobooks ready, so while I'm setting up my classroom, I can listen to great books and still get that reading time in. And also just to be, it helps me stay calm and not feel as overwhelmed when I'm reading. So it'll help the school year go well. So, all right. Well, don't forget to like and subscribe. Thanks for being here and toodaloo.